Okay, just a correction. That feed mill and all I was filming there was actually in Harrelson, Georgia. Harrelson, Georgia is where they had one of the scenes for Walking Dead. Now we are in Senoia, because we have this gorgeous, gorgeous church here. And this street is where the Fried Green Tomatoes home, the Threadgood house, is located. Oh, and we have lightning too, which means I need to make this quick. Sorry, y'all. Nothing personal, y'all, but I don't want to get... I'm not intending to get fried in Senoia. I'm here to reference a movie, not get literal fried. No thank you. But that church is gorgeous. Yeah, but I'm not just here to see the house from the movie. But I remember seeing the film when I was a kid and just, I loved it. But the house is still here, the bridge is still here. All that's been changed on both is the fact that they've all been repainted and probably modernized over the 25 years since the movie was made. 25, 30 years. Yeah, that's right, 30 years. It's been, yeah, 25, 30 years since the movie was made. And that's pretty. That house wasn't in the film, but I like it. No. But there is the house. Now, it doesn't have the color scheme it had in the movie. It's been repainted, but it's still the same house. And you'll recognize the bridge, too. The bridge is the same as well. But here is the Threadgood house. I don't know who actually lives in it today, but it's still a nice house, and I like that it's been kept up, too. It's nice. Well, I say that. Semi-kept up, but it's still nice, regardless. Sorry, y'all. And what I like is just the fact that all of these old houses are all right next to each other. That's what I love about these little towns. And because look at this. I love this house. It's nice. Now, as I said, if y'all come out here yourselves, don't drive the people living here crazy, because, for God's sakes, the home is still being lived in. I'm just here getting a few pictures, and that's about it. I'm not just here to see the house. I want to get pictures of the main street and the bridge and the railroad underneath, because the railroad underneath is abandoned. I think Norfolk Southern was the last owner of it. But now I think it's looking a little familiar to y'all now. But this is the house as it appears now in 2022. I'm just happy it's still lived in. That makes me happy enough. And then here is the bridge. It's not the original, but well, it's probably semi-original, but still. Hey there.
Hey, how are you?
I'm well.
Good.
Yeah, so here's the side that Chris O'Donnell was having his predicament in. He wouldn't have to worry about 290 running him down today, because here's what the tracks look like now. But this is the... Yeah, but here's the same vantage point, as you can tell. Yeah, but if you notice, here's how they would have done that shot. They would have had the camera panning down to about here, showing him walking and carrying on, trying to catch Ruth's hat while it was being blown on its bill. There would have been a guardrail somewhere around in that area. He would have got his foot stuck, and well, you know the rest. Of course, that was all a bit of film trickery to pull that off. But I'm going to try and walk down and try and photograph all this if I can. Sorry, you're all right. Interesting thing, you can see where the rail has been. Huh, that's neat. Somebody tried ripping up the rail. Rail's been spread there. Yeah, the railroad tracks here in town have been completely rail banked. Yeah. And if y'all are curious, the locomotive used in the film, 290, is currently on display in Duluth, Georgia. There's a railroad museum there.
Do you own the shop or you really own it?
Yeah, and there's the bridge as it appears now. I'm going to show you guys the bottom of it in just a minute. But I'm not going to go down the embankment because that's a straight drop, and I'm not going to risk that. I'm going to walk further down where it's a bit lower, and then I'm going to walk down into it. Hold on one second. Right. And I'm going to be walking down into the rail bed if I can, because again, the tracks are no longer active. In fact, I think they were shut down recently because well, they're still clear. If it was old, or the town is actually keeping them clear, kind of like Saluda is with Saluda Grade. But I'm not seeing an easy way to get down except, oh hell, I need to walk down to the crossing anyway, so I can, this will give me an excuse to photograph the actual main street, starting with this here. Now, they did a good job of making you think the Threadgood House was rural in the middle of nowhere, but it was just on that street. And I think if you look at the film again, you could easily see where, you could probably see some of the houses I just photographed in the background shots if you look carefully enough. But here is what they didn't show, which is the main street of Senoia. And it's a pretty little town, and I like that these films are made in these little towns because look, it brings them back, which is something I love. Reason I say that is because that's happened with Juliet. When they found Juliet, it was a ghost town. When they found Senoia, well, it was probably just a sleepy little town on the side along the highway to Griffin, but now look at it. It's been completely revived. And I like that, it's nice. But here is the railroad. Here's the tracks used in the film that you see 290 running on. In fact, there's the old sign for this here, which means this is the end of track. Now I need to see which railroad owns this because there's a little plaque here. I'm betting Norfolk Southern still owns it. It's just rail banked. I'm going to wait for all the traffic to clear though real quick before I go and look at the sign, because the crossing sign and railroad owner sign are still here. Yep, Norfolk Southern. So Norfolk Southern still owns these tracks. Okay, so that's good. So back in 1991, these railroad tracks were still active enough to where, so yeah, again, back in 1991, I think was, yeah, from what I remember hearing in the commentary on the film by its director, by the time they got to Senoia and used these tracks, they were already pretty much abandoned. They were already closed or semi-closed. And he said that they actually had a very hard time getting the engine on these tracks, which probably means it derailed a few times while they were trying to get it set up for filming. But I don't know. I haven't been able to find any more behind the scenes footage of that. But I can tell you it would have derailed now, because just up ahead at the bridge there, look. You can see where a rail has been spread, or deliberately or by accident. We're going to get to that in just a second. If those tour people had stuck around, they could have... Yeah, because I'm technically walking the same direction Chris O'Donnell walked in, just on the other side of the bridge. Now bear in mind, in 1991, all of this tree cover you see on these tracks was not here, or not as profound as it is now. So this gives a good idea of how it's changed over the past, let's see, 20, 21 years? Or actually 30 years now that I think about it, because let's see, 1991 to 2001 was 10 years. And then from 2001 to 11, that was 20. So yeah, the film's now 32, or excuse me. Well, no. See, now I'm confused, but now if I'm remembering right, the film is now, I think, 30 to 31 years old, 31, 32. But here's the bridge. I apologize with the way the lighting is on this thing, but there's where the rail has been spread. I'm guessing this is meant to be a kind of cheap derail, so if like a car goes beyond this, it'll jump the track and come to a stop. In fact, I think you can actually see where that's happened a few times, where the car's derailed and busted up some of the tires. But either that, or this is where somebody came in and decided to try ripping this rail out, which is not good. But here's a better view of the bridge. Now, I've seen the movie, like I said, numerous times since I was a kid. I know my mom's mother actually had a VHS copy of it at her place, and that's where I first found out about it and watched it. Now I'm actually a little confused, because if you remember in the film, there was an angle showing the bridge right about here looking up from the cut, showing everybody, you know, freaked out about what happened to Chris O'Donnell's character, Buddy. So that means either 290 was coming in that direction, or it was coming in that direction and they flipped the footage. I don't know. See, this will give me an excuse to rewatch the movie after a while, so I can actually see if I can confirm that or not. But if I remember right, it looks, the camera was angled probably about like this. So I could have been wrong about this. It could have had him, so I could have been wrong about the direction he was running to get, you know, Rufe's hat. But I think it was actually in this direction, not that direction. Or it could have been vice versa, and I'm completely confused out of my mind. Who knows? I know the bridge had staircase terraces going down on each end, but I guess those have been lost due to erosion and whatnot. But yeah, you can see the tracks are completely impassable now for a train. In fact, here's where NS has marked the end of active track here. But that, just because it's impassable for a train doesn't mean it's impassable for a person. This gives me an idea of what the bridge on Lower Appalachia Road would have been like about 10 or 15 years ago, just before all this mess popped up. I'll have to rewatch this scene. I can get the scene up on my phone to rewatch it, but if I remember right, because it showed the engine, 290 coming through a cut around a curve, and this is the only point that's actually visible, that curve in the cut. Unless, of course, I'm getting it wrong, because I think the angle I just showed, the diagonal one panning up to the top of the cut, that looked to be maybe roughly around the same angle that I'm thinking of. So if that was the case, then that means 290 was coming into town in that direction. Well, this gives me an excuse to watch that scene again. I'm probably going to do that real quick, just for the hell of it. So I will stop the recording and come back if I can clarify about all that. So I will see y'all then. Alright, as you can see, I'm back on the bridge and I've got this scene playing on my phone. It's muted, obviously due to copyright, but I've been able to figure it out, so I was wrong. He didn't run down that end of the bridge of the tracks, no. Because they show this house in the background shot that I'm looking at right now from when Itchy was younger. Whoever played young Itchy. Let me adjust my shorts here because they're loose. Anyway, that aside, so they were on this side of the bridge, the hat blows off. Lands down there. So, correction on what I did when I first got here. And the track is almost identical to how it looked then. So, the hat blows down there, he runs down and gets it, gets his foot caught somewhere in a guardrail along this stretch of the track here. I bet where that rail was pulled up is exactly where that guardrail was. Somebody ripped it out to try and get the guardrail out. 290, you hear 290 in the background whistling as he comes around that curve there, whistles for that crossing, and then, well, the rest is history. How do I know? Because I've got, again, the scene playing on my phone right now. Yeah, so he comes down, jumps down the, here, hold on, let me try and replicate it. So, say someone loses their hat there, say Ruth for instance, there would have been a stair step right around where this undergrowth is. So, he would have been jumping down the little terraces alongside of the bridge. That was for erosion control. Those weren't stairs. Those were for erosion control to prevent the bridge abutments from washing out. He would have jumped down those little terraces. In fact, I think, no, that's just undergrowth. He was going down there. Better yet, let me just go down to the track level to show you this better, because oh, yeah, I'm gonna have to. There's lightning here. Okay, so here's where he was walking down. So there would have been steps here. Those are all gone due to erosion. I'm going to have to make this quick due to rain, if you can clearly hear. So, I'm going to just scooch myself down. he says as he goes and falls on his rear end. And I nearly just did fall there, as you could tell by me sliding. So, aside from nearly falling on my ass there, sorry y'all, aside from me nearly falling on my ass, anyways, so yeah, here we go. So in the film, again, Chris O'Donnell's character, playing Buddy, would have gone down where there would have been terraces right here. Would have been a rope somewhere right here. Would have swung down it, got on the rails here, walked down the center, going after, I don't know who the actress who played Ruth, but he would have been running along, got her hat, and I'm betting again where that rail is where the guardrail piece was. Probably a wheel flange guard on the inside of the rails here. Would have been on each side here or here. Got his foot stuck, and well, you know the rest of the scene. Speaking of, again, I have it on my phone here, and I'm playing it just to line everything up, because I was a little confused myself when I first got here due to how much everything changed. But I think I've got it now. Yeah. So, yeah, here we go. So here's the panning shot of him going after the hat that I'm watching right now. Still going after it. Okay, yeah. One quick second scene, which they show him chasing it, shows the cut back here. Now again, remember, all these trees you see now were not here in 1991 because it's been over 30 years. So that all of this overgrowth was not here. In fact, I think this may have been a rebuild of the original bridge now that I think about it, but I could be wrong. Could be wrong. In fact, I think the remains of the original abutments are right here for this side. And I'll get to this side again in a minute. But yeah, he's going, and boom, gets caught in the guardrail. So let's see if I'm right about it being where that rail has been removed, because that means somebody was going out here stealing it. Okay, let's see. Yep, okay. So there's the crossing as it appeared in 1991. Still had insulators up, still had all that. So this is before a lot of the modern shops and whatnot were built across the road. And of course, since there was a cut, that means all the Main Street buildings and whatnot were not visible. Meaning, well, yeah, meaning they were able to replicate a rural area. This could have been a rural road bridge anywhere along a stretch of track like this. So, he's currently, yeah, he's trying to get the boot from hell off of his foot. Yeah, so there was a feed mill right around in that area. That's long since been torn down and replaced with a modern shopping center and all. So, yeah. Again, remember, I'm watching the scene on my phone right now as I'm describing it. So, again, this is all from 1991. That's been 30 years. So all of the other stuff you see in the background regarding this is gone, save for what's seen in the movie. The feed mill is gone, of course. So yeah, 290's coming, it's getting closer and closer, and then you know the rest. Yeah, the feed mill's gone. So everyone else, here's Ruth panicking, runs over to the tracks. From the house, which is at the top of the hill, everyone goes running down here to the cut, and they all gather right here, where the bridge rail is and where the cut is. And they've just see what hell has unfolded, as you guys know. If y'all have seen the movie, you'll know what I'm talking about. But, yeah. So that's why this stretch of the track is kept clear. So this was the direction the 290 was coming in, and basically the direction they filmed this in. So they'll probably keep this stretch clear and open because of that. As for that, however, well, yeah, that'll be looking like the Bishop to Madison branch more and more each year. So All I can say is if you want to document abandoned railroads as well as some film history, come to Senoia. It's got both. And it's got it in abundance. For my channel, Railroad Preserver 2000, well, I am the namesake of the channel, signing out. In Senoia, Georgia, one of the few homes of fried green tomatoes. See y'all in Juliet. Currently here closer to the crossing, and this is the direction Chris O'Donnell was walking when he, in the film. But just to give a comparison for what this looks like today, here's what was built on the feed mill, this municipal building or the post office. So that tells you how much this has changed in the past 32 years, 32 years. And I'm sure this connects up with Norfolk Southern's other main line through town, and that's probably how they got the engine onto these tracks, even if they were inactive. There was probably an interchange switch somewhere around the active railroad coming through town. So, with that being said, I'm going to see if we can find a depot. I doubt there's one here anymore, but you never know. So yeah, I'll see y'all later. Railroad Preserver 2000, back again in Jackson, Georgia. This is my third visit here. And if you guys remember, on my first visit I actually caught a train here with Union Pacific run-through power. Now admittedly, when I filmed that video I was a lot younger than I am now. And very, very inexperienced with filming pretty much anything. But now I'm back at around 21 years old, and I'm here to give this another shot. So the track right here in front of me, this is the depot siding for the railroad depot here in Jackson. That's what you see right here. And the upper track you see, that is Norfolk Southern. Now, the second time I came over here to do this recording, which was a few years after the first time, I ended up catching a Norfolk Southern auto train. Only trouble was the footage corrupted and was lost. So yeah, that was fun. And I'm standing on the closed siding. I'm not standing on the mainline track for obvious reasons. God forbid, in case anything were to show up, I don't want to get hit. At least this track's inactive, whereas this track right here is inactive completely. There's like no rail activity on it at all, but the one beside it, that's the main line for CSX, or not CSX, excuse me, my brain's not working. That's the main line for Norfolk Southern. The only trouble is I don't really remember, how often or how much of it is active. That's the issue. Let's see, so here's the depot again. Here's the main line track again. And I've actually got my tripod here set up in this little gravel lot. So that way, in case a train shows up, I'll be able to catch him. I'm kind of hoping it'll come around the curve here, because if it comes around the curve, I'll have a good shot of him. But if he comes towards me in the opposite direction, like this way, coming towards me, I'll have a good way of getting the depot in the shot, which would be nice. I've never been able to really film that. The only trouble is I'm worried it's too late, and I'm not going to sit around for 2 or 3 hours and wait for the next train to come. I'm here to do this recording, but if nothing shows up, then I'm heading back to Athens because I have something that my friend and I need to do, and I don't want to put that off. I've already had to reschedule it to today, and I don't want to reschedule it again, period. So, yeah. But I've had the info about the depot in Jackson before. I forget when it was built. I know it was formerly a Southern Railway station because it was one of the stations on the line from Griffin to Warm Springs, and this was where, I think, one of the stations where Roosevelt stopped. I could be wrong on that, so don't quote me on it. Excuse me. But I'm gonna put the camera on the tripod while I pull the information up, because the website I used to find these depots is archived, thank goodness. So it makes it a whole lot easier for me to to get the information up. Oh, and I see a jet flying overhead, so there you go, Jesse, got a jet for you. All right, you get the idea. Anyways, see, there's the information regarding the now demolished Manchester Depot. Okay, let's see, Jackson. Where is Jackson, Georgia? CJ, Jackson. Alright, let's see, come on now, come on. There we go. So, hold on. Sorry, y'all. Anyways, what I was gonna say, I've got the info about the depot up here on the Archived Rail Georgia site here. So it says here, unlike many Georgia towns, Jackson was not created by the railroad. It was established in the 1820s, decade before the ET&WG Railroad arrived in 1882, which is why the depot is half a mile from the town center. The railroad I just mentioned merged into the Southern Railway in 1894. So, yeah, this was a former East Tennessee, Virginia, and Georgia Railroad. So, surprised. But yeah, I just wanted to give that information there. But other than that, I will see y'all later, and either in Athens or when a train comes. So, see you then. Railroad Preserver 2000.